My mouth is still bruised from kissing him in front of half the campus. 6 months to live, that's what the doctor said. So I did it. I grabbed the untouchable, the cold prince of our department, and kissed him before semester break like the world was already ending. He went completely still. Not angry, not soft, just stunned. His eyes widened a fraction. His fingers hovered at my wrists like he forgot how to use them. The crowd gasped. Someone laughed. I could hear my own pulse roaring in my ears. And I grinned. Actually grinned. Like I'd just checked the final box on my bucket list. I remember thinking, there, I did it. I win. Now my phone won't stop vibrating. Unknown number. I answer, still high on recklessness. There's been a mistake, the doctor says. Papers shuffle. A breath through teeth. Your reports were swapped. You're not terminal. We're very sorry. The world doesn't tilt. It drops. Not dying. Not dying. Tomorrow campus reopens. Tomorrow I walk past the same people who saw me drag the most unreachable man in our faculty by the collar and kiss him like I had nothing left to lose. Tomorrow I face him. The untouchable. The boy who stood frozen in my arms. Lips parted in shock. While I smiled against his mouth like I'd conquered something impossible. My phone slips from my fingers. Because if I'm not dying, then I just humiliated the one person who never lets anyone touch him. And tomorrow he'll be ready. Welcome to BL Without Labels, where the story isn't defined by words. Stay with the story. Support us. Chapter 1, Jasper. I used to measure my life in responsibilities. Scholarship deadlines. Library closing times. The number of hours I could afford to sleep without slipping from the top 5%. No night drives. No messy friendships. No parties where music throbbed so loud you forgot your name. I was the dependable one. The quiet one. The one professors nodded at with approval and classmates forgot existed after group projects. My name is Jasper Hale. If you asked anyone on campus to describe me, they'd say disciplined. Or worse, safe. The headaches started during midterms. A thin, drilling pain behind my right eye. I ignored it. I ignore most things that don't come with a deadline. But when the world blurred during a presentation and my knees almost gave out, I went to the hospital alone. White walls. Chemical air. A doctor who wouldn't look at me directly. There's a mess, he said. He kept talking, but I only heard one sentence clearly. You may have 6 months. 6 months. I walked out of the hospital feeling strangely light, like gravity had loosened its grip. I went home, stared at the scholarship certificate pinned above my desk, and laughed. All that planning. For what? The first night I didn't sleep. I counted everything I hadn't done. All the things I postponed for a better future. The next morning, something inside me snapped. Not loudly, quietly, cleanly. If I was going to die, I refused to die responsibly. So I did everything I'd avoided. I skipped class, turned my phone off, ate street food without checking the price, stayed out past midnight just to see what the city looked like when it wasn't pretending to be productive. And then there was him, Henry Vale, campus heartthrob, top of the business faculty, the kind of man people orbit without realizing they're doing it. Untouchable. He walked like he owned corridors, spoke like he chose words carefully because most people didn't deserve them. Girls adored him. Professors respected him. Guys either envied him or tried too hard around him. He never looked twice at me. Until the last day of the semester. The courtyard was packed. Luggage rolling. People laughing about vacation plans. The air thick with freedom. I found him near the fountain, sunlight cutting sharp lines across his face. For a second, I almost backed out. Then I remembered the hospital room. 6 months. I grabbed his collar before my courage dissolved. He blinked once, confused, and I kissed him. Not a brush, not a mistake. I kissed him. 3 full minutes. I felt the initial stiffness in his shoulders, the shock in the way his breath caught. His hands hovered at my waist like he couldn't decide whether to shove me away or hold on. The crowd went silent, then erupted. I didn't care, because for the first time in my life I wasn't thinking about consequences. When I pulled back, his lips were slightly parted, his eyes darker than I'd ever seen them. And I smiled, like I had just crossed the final item off my bucket list. I thought that was the end. I didn't know the real disaster would begin tomorrow. Because tomorrow I would find out I'm not dying. And Henry Vale doesn't forget what belongs to him. Chapter 2. I didn't sleep. Not because of guilt. Because of the phone call. Your reports were swapped. You're not terminal. We're very sorry. Very sorry. I sit on the edge of my bed at 6 in the morning, staring at my hands like they belong to someone reckless. Someone terminal. Someone who had permission to burn bridges because he wouldn't have to walk across them again. But I'm alive. Alive enough to face consequences. Campus reopens at 9. By 8:30, my stomach feels like I swallowed broken glass. People stare the second I step through the gates. Whispers travel faster than Wi-Fi. That's him. The one who kissed Henry. 3 minutes, I swear. 3 minutes. Why did I hold it that long? Because I thought it was my last chance to feel something selfish. I keep my head down and walk faster. It doesn't help. The courtyard looks exactly the same as that day. Same fountain, same stone benches, but it feels different now. Less heroic. More like a crime scene. And then I feel it. That awareness. The way air shifts when someone important moves through it. I look up. Henry. He's standing across the courtyard. Posture effortless. Expression unreadable. He looks untouched by what happened. Perfect. Composed. Untouchable. My phone vibrates in my hand. I flinch and drop it. Great. I crouch to pick it up, praying he'll turn away. He doesn't. His shoes stop in front of me. Polished. Immaculate. I straighten slowly. He's closer than I expected. Close enough that I can see the faint scar near his eyebrow. Close enough to remember exactly how still he went when I kissed him. You kissed me. His voice isn't loud. That makes it worse. Yes, I say. I could lie. I don't. A muscle shifts in his jaw. Not anger. Calculation. Why? There it is. The question I can't answer without sounding insane. Because I thought I was dying. Because I wanted one reckless thing. Because you were the only person I was afraid of wanting. Instead, I say nothing. Silence stretches. My heartbeat pounds against my ribs like it's trying to escape first. He leans in slightly, not touching, just enough to invade my space. You don't look like someone who won, he murmurs. Heat climbs up my neck. That day I was smiling. Today I can barely breathe. I made a mistake. I manage. His eyes darken, not hurt, interested. A mistake, he repeats. People are watching. I can feel it, waiting for him to crush me, to restore balance. He doesn't. He steps back and smiles faintly. Good, he says quietly. I don't like unfinished business. Then he walks away, just like that. No humiliation, no public rejection, which somehow feels worse, because now I don't know what he's planning. And for the first time since the hospital, I'm terrified of living long enough to find out. Chapter 3. I try to disappear. It's a skill I perfected long before the kiss. Back row seats. Neutral clothes. Eyes down. Speak only when necessary. But invisibility doesn't work after you've publicly kissed Henry Vale for 3 minutes. Now the whispers don't even bother lowering themselves. He's brave. He's stupid. Henry didn't even react. Maybe they were already. They weren't. We weren't. I grip my pen too tightly during lecture. The professor's voice fades into background static. Every time the classroom door opens, my spine locks. He doesn't come. That almost feels worse. By noon, I convince myself maybe he meant it, unfinished business, but not urgently. Maybe he'll ignore me. Maybe I'll graduate and this will become one of those embarrassing stories people half remember. I'm halfway down the economics building stairs when someone blocks my path. Not aggressively. Deliberately. Henry. No audience this time. No fountain. No crowd. Just the quiet echo of footsteps in an empty stairwell. My pulse stumbles. He looks the same as always, controlled, pressed shirt, expression carefully arranged. But there's something sharper in his gaze now. Focused. You avoid eye contact when you're nervous, he says calmly. I didn't realize he noticed. I'm not nervous. A lie. His eyes flick briefly to my hands. They're shaking. I tuck them into my pockets. Silence stretches between us, not awkward, charged. I asked you a question yesterday, he continues. Why? I swallow. The sterile smell of the hospital flashes in my mind. The doctor's voice. 6 months. I thought. My voice almost cracks. I force it steady. I thought I had nothing to lose. He studies me for a long second. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. Something flickers across his face. Not anger. Challenge. You chose me, he says quietly. Out of everyone. Because you were the only one I couldn't have. Because you looked like a mountain and I wanted to leave a mark before I disappeared. Because wanting you felt dangerous enough to count. I don't know. I lie. His gaze drops slowly to my mouth. My breath stutters. He steps closer. Not enough to touch. Enough to remind me exactly how close we were before. You kissed me like you were proving something, he says, voice lower now. To yourself. Not to me. Heat crawls up my throat. He's too perceptive. I said it was a mistake. And I said I don't like unfinished business. The air feels thinner in the stairwell. You want an apology? Ask. He tilts his head slightly. No. That answer unsettles me more than anything else. Then what do you want? For the first time, his composure shifts, not cracked, just sharpened. I want to know, he says softly, if you would still do it. Now that you have something to lose. My heart slams against my ribs. Because now I do. My future. My scholarship. My carefully rebuilt normal life. And him. He waits. Not pushing. Just watching. And I realize this isn't about revenge. It's about power. The first time I acted like a dying man. If I kiss him again, it won't be because I'm running out of time. It will be because I want to. And that terrifies me more than any diagnosis ever did. Chapter 4. I don't answer him. Not because I don't know. Because I know too well. The stairwell is too quiet. Every small sound feels amplified. The hum of distant ventilation. The faint rustle of his sleeve when he shifts his weight. He isn't touching me, but the air between us feels claimed. Would you still do it? Now that I have something to lose. I should say no. That would be smart. Safe. Responsible. Like the version of me that existed before white hospital walls and reckless courage. But the old version of me already died once. You're assuming I regret it, I say instead. His eyes sharpen. Do you? I hold his gaze. The truth presses against my ribs. I regret the timing, I admit. Not the kiss. There it is. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just honest. Something shifts in him. Subtle. His shoulders relax a fraction. Like he was waiting for that answer. You smiled, he says quietly. After. I remember. The noise of the crowd. The way my pulse roared in my ears. The shock on his face. The satisfaction curling in my chest like victory. I thought it was my last chance. I say before I can stop myself. His brow furrows. Last chance for what? To live. To want. To be selfish. I hesitate. He steps closer. Not enough to touch. Enough to make retreat impossible. You don't do impulsive things, he continues. People like you don't snap without a reason. People like you. The scholarship student. The background character. You don't know what people like me do, I say, sharper than intended. His gaze doesn't waver. Then tell me. The words sit heavy in my throat. Explaining means admitting I thought I was dying. Admitting weakness. Fear. Admitting that he was the one thing I chose when everything else stopped mattering. I inhale slowly. I thought I had 6 months left, I say. The confession hangs between us. He doesn't laugh. Doesn't interrupt. I went to the hospital for headaches. I continue. They told me I might not make it to next year. Silence. Real silence. And you decided, he says carefully, to kiss me. Yes. His jaw tightens, not in anger, in understanding. And now, it was a mistake. The reports were swapped. The words feel ugly. I'm not dying. He watches me like I've just handed him something fragile. So you chose me, he says slowly. When you believed nothing else mattered. My chest tightens. Yes. And you regret it now that everything matters again? There it is again. The power shift. I could step back. Apologize. End this. Instead, I hold his gaze. I regret being reckless. I say. Not wanting you. The air changes. His breathing deepens. Barely noticeable, but I'm close enough to hear it. You're very brave for someone who just said he values his future, he murmurs. I am valuing it, I reply. That's why I'm not kissing you again. The corner of his mouth lifts. Not amusement. Interest. Good, he says softly. Good. If you did it now, he continues, voice low, controlled, it would mean I didn't have a choice. A chill runs down my spine. And you don't like losing control, I whisper. His eyes darken. No, he agrees. For a second, I think he's going to leave. Instead, he leans in just slightly, close enough that I feel the warmth of his breath near my cheek. Next time, he says quietly, I decide. Then he steps back. Just like that, leaving me alone in the stairwell with a racing heart and the terrifying realization. I don't know if I'm more afraid of him taking control, or of wanting him to. Chapter 5. We don't speak for 3 days. Not properly. But silence doesn't mean distance. It means awareness. Monday morning lecture. I sit in my usual seat, 3rd row from the back, aisle side. The professor is explaining something about market elasticity, but I can feel it before I see it. That shift in the room. He walks in late. Not rushed. Not apologetic. Just present. Henry takes a seat 2 rows ahead of me. Not his usual spot. Close enough that I can see the clean line of his jaw when he turns slightly. Close enough that if I lean forward just a little, I'd catch the faint scent of his cologne. I don't lean, but I remember. The warmth of his mouth. The stillness. The way his breath stalled for half a second before syncing with mine. My pen presses too hard against the paper. Ink pools at the tip. He doesn't look back. But his posture is too aware. Like he knows exactly where I am. Tuesday afternoon. Library. I'm pretending to read. He's across the long wooden table. Laptop open. Sleeves rolled to his forearms. His expression is composed. Focused. But every time I shift in my seat, his eyes flick up. Quick. Precise. Not accidental. Our gazes collide once. Just once. The memory hits like muscle reflex. His collar twisted in my fist. The firmness of his lips under mine. The way he didn't push me away. My throat tightens. He doesn't look embarrassed. He looks thoughtful. As if replaying it too. His gaze drops slowly to my mouth. Heat spreads across my skin. I look away first. Wednesday evening. Campus cafe. I'm waiting for my coffee when someone steps into line behind me. Too close. Not touching. Just close enough that I feel the heat along my back. I don't turn around. I don't need to. The barista calls my name. Jasper. His voice follows a second later. Henry. The proximity presses in. The air feels thicker than it should. I take my cup. When I turn, he's there. Close enough that if either of us leaned forward, we don't. His eyes flick briefly to my lips again. Not hungry. Not soft. Curious. Like he's trying to remember the exact shape of something. Still regret it? He asks quietly. I swallow. Still thinking about it? I reply. A pause. The corner of his mouth shifts. Not a smile. Acknowledgement. Yes. The honesty hits harder than if he'd denied it. Neither of us moves. Neither of us touches. But the memory sits between us, alive. 3 minutes. 3 reckless, breathless minutes that rewrote something neither of us expected. He steps aside first, allowing space for me to pass. This time, when our shoulders brush, it's intentional, just barely, electric. And as I walk away, heart racing again, I realize something dangerous. The first kiss was an accident born from fear. The next one won't be. Chapter 6. I don't know what I expected. Whispers fade. Rumors cool down. Life resets. It doesn't. It mutates. By the end of the week, people stop asking why I kissed Henry. They start asking what we are. I hear it in fragments. Are they dating? He sits near him now. Henry doesn't ignore him anymore. And then today, I walk into the courtyard and freeze. A girl from the business faculty is standing too close to him, laughing, hand brushing his arm like she has a right to. Henry isn't smiling, but he isn't stepping away either. Something ugly twists low in my stomach. I tell myself it's pride. I made a spectacle of him. Of course people will test boundaries now. Still, my jaw tightens. The girl leans in slightly, saying something soft enough that I can't hear. Henry's gaze shifts. Not to her, past her, to me. He holds it, doesn't break it, doesn't acknowledge her touch. My pulse kicks harder. I look away first. Coward. I turn to leave. Jasper. His voice cuts clean through the noise. The girl's smile falters. I don't turn immediately. I make him wait half a second. Then I face him. Yes. The courtyard feels too open, too exposed. He says something polite to the girl, dismissive without being rude. She leaves, confused. He walks toward me slowly, measured, controlled. You've been avoiding me, he says. You've been busy. His eyes narrow slightly. That bothered you. It's not a question. I cross my arms. Why would it? He steps closer, not touching, just enough to remind me he chooses the distance. You kissed me in front of everyone, he says quietly. 3 minutes. I feel heat crawl up my neck. I remember. Good. His gaze sharpens, no teasing now. Then take responsibility. The words hit harder than expected. For what? For starting something you don't get to pretend didn't happen. My heartbeat thunders. I didn't start anything, I argue. It was one kiss. In public. His voice drops slightly. You marked me. The accusation isn't angry. It's territorial. You're not property. I shoot back. No, he agrees smoothly. But reputation is. The air between us thickens. You made a statement, he continues. Now people think they have a right to comment, to speculate, to approach me differently. Jealousy flickers behind his calm expression. Or maybe it's something else. You didn't seem bothered when they were talking to you, I say. His gaze locks onto mine. I was. That knocks the breath out of me. You don't get to light a fire and walk away untouched, he adds quietly. And what exactly do you want me to do? Ask. His eyes dip to my mouth again. Slow, deliberate. If you're going to kiss me, he says, voice steady but charged, do it because you intend to stand next to me after. The courtyard noise fades into background blur. This isn't about humiliation. It's about claim, about choice. He steps even closer. Say it was meaningless, he murmurs. And I'll treat it like it was. The challenge hangs between us. My throat goes dry, because I can't. And he knows it. Chapter 7. I thought I was the reckless one, the impulsive one, the one who grabbed collars and kissed untouchable boys in crowded courtyards. I was wrong. Henry's jealousy is quieter than mine, and far more dangerous. It starts small. A guy from my statistics class asks if I want to join their study group. He's harmless, friendly, talks too much. We're standing near the vending machines when I feel it again. That shift in the air. Henry. He's across the hallway, speaking to someone from the faculty committee. He isn't looking at us, but he is. I can tell. The guy laughs at something I say and lightly nudges my shoulder. A second later, Henry's conversation ends mid-sentence. He walks over, calm, polite, controlled. Jasper, he says evenly, we need to discuss the project proposal. I blink. What proposal? His gaze flicks briefly to the guy beside me. The one you agreed to review. I didn't, but the tone makes it sound real. The guy shifts awkwardly. Oh, I didn't know you two were working together. Henry doesn't even look at him. We are. It isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. But it's final. The guy mumbles something and leaves. I turn to Henry the second we're alone. There is no proposal. I know. My pulse spikes. You just dismissed him. He was wasting your time. I can decide that. His jaw tightens slightly. Can you? The question isn't mocking. It's sharp, measured. I step closer despite myself. You don't get to control who talks to me. His eyes darken. And you don't get to pretend you don't notice what you're doing. What am I doing? He leans in slightly, not touching, never touching first. You look at them, he says quietly. The way you looked at me before you kissed me. My breath stutters. That's not true. Isn't it? Silence. Because maybe I do look at people like that now. Like I'm testing the edge of something. Like I'm seeing who reacts. Henry's gaze drops to my mouth again. Then back up. You don't realize how obvious you are, he continues. And you don't realize how territorial you are. I shoot back. Something flickers in his eyes. Not denial. Recognition. I don't like being made a spectacle, he says. And I don't like sharing attention that was clearly directed at me. There it is. Not rage. Not shouting. Possession. My jealousy is loud and impulsive. His is strategic. Calculated. He doesn't fight. He removes. He rearranges the board until the piece he dislikes is no longer there. That's dangerous. I murmur before I can stop myself. What is? The way you get jealous. His expression doesn't change. I don't get jealous. You just erased someone from a conversation without raising your voice. Faint pause. Then, I prefer efficiency. A chill slides down my spine. Because he's not flustered. Not embarrassed. He's composed. And that composure means he's aware of exactly what he's doing. You kissed me, he says softly. Publicly. I know. You made it clear I matter. My heart pounds harder. You do. The words slip out before I can pull them back. His control fractures for half a second. Just enough for me to see it. And now, he continues, voice lower. You expect me not to react when someone else assumes they have access to you? Access. The word lands heavy. My jealousy is fire. His is gravity. Pulls everything inward until there's no space left. He steps back slightly, restoring distance. But his eyes don't soften. Be careful, Jasper, he says quietly. You're not the only one who can make bold decisions. Then he walks away, leaving me standing there with the unsettling realization. I may have started this recklessly, but Henry will finish it deliberately. Chapter 8. The email arrives at 2:17 a.m. I'm still awake, still staring at the ceiling, still pretending my life isn't fragile. Scholarship status. Suspended. Administrative review. Medical documentation inconsistency. Further evaluation required. My chest goes cold. The hospital mistake. The swapped report. Because of that stupid error, my attendance dropped. My grades dipped during that week. I skipped mandatory evaluations. Now the funding that held my entire future in place is gone. Just like that. I don't cry. I calculate. Tuition. Housing. Books. Overtime. I pick up extra shifts at the campus cafe the next day. Close shift. Open shift. Weekends. Sleep becomes optional again. Emotion becomes inefficient. By the end of the week, I'm exhausted enough that my heart doesn't flutter when I see him. Good. This is better. Stable. Predictable. I'm wiping down tables when the bell above the cafe door rings. I don't look up. I don't need to. The air shifts. He stands at the counter longer than necessary. I keep my eyes on the rag in my hand. Large Americano, he says. Professional. Distant. Like we're strangers. Good. I prepare it without shaking. When I set the cup down, our fingers almost brush. I pull back first. You've been avoiding me, he says quietly. I've been working. His gaze scans my face. The dark circles. The tension. Why? It doesn't concern you. The words taste bitter. His jaw tightens. It does if it affects you. I laugh softly. That's not how this works. He steps around the counter. Too close. Instinctively, I shove him back. Not hard, but firm. Don't. The word comes out sharper than I intend. His eyes flash, not anger. Shock. You don't get to approach me whenever you feel like it. I say, voice steady despite the storm in my chest. I made a mistake. I acted like I had nothing to lose. I was wrong. His posture stiffens. What happened? Nothing that concerns you. Jasper. Stop. I meet his gaze head on. If I'm not steady, everything falls apart. My tuition, my housing, my future. I don't have space for distractions. A flicker of something dangerous crosses his face. I'm a distraction? You are unpredictable. Silence. Heavy. Controlled. I don't destabilize things, he says calmly. You do, I reply. You just do it quietly. He studies me like he's trying to decide whether to push or retreat. For once, he retreats, but not fully. If you're pulling away, he says softly, do it because you want to, not because you're scared. I'm not scared. You're exhausted. That hits too close. I tighten my grip on the counter. It was my mistake, I repeat, kissing you, starting this. If you hadn't, he interrupts quietly, I wouldn't know you were brave enough to choose what you want. I don't get to choose what I want, I say. I choose what keeps me standing. There's no crowd now, no whispers, just fluorescent light and the hum of a coffee machine. He looks at me differently, not possessive, not territorial, assessing. You're turning back into someone smaller than you are, he says. I'm turning back into someone safe. A long pause. Safe, he repeats. His expression smooths out again. Composed. Untouchable. If that's what you need, he says quietly. He picks up his coffee. Stops just before walking past me. But don't confuse stability with isolation. Then he leaves. And I hate that my heart still reacts, even when I'm trying so hard to lock it away. Because if I lose focus now, I lose everything. And this time, there won't be a swapped report to blame. Chapter 9. The day I step in with him. I didn't plan to get involved. I was on my third shift of the week, running on caffeine and 4 hours of sleep, when I heard my name. Not whispered. Mocked. Scholarship boy fell off, huh? Guess kissing rich seniors doesn't pay tuition. I kept walking. I've trained myself to. But then someone laughed and said, maybe he thought he'd secure a sponsor. Something inside me snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just enough. Say it again, I said calmly. 3 guys from the business department, smirking, comfortable in numbers. Oh, touchy. One of them said, relax. We're just saying you aimed high. My hands curled into fists. Before I could respond, a voice cut in behind me. Is there a problem? The shift in atmosphere was immediate. Henry. He wasn't loud. He didn't need to be. The guys straightened instinctively. We were just joking, one said quickly. Then improve your material, Henry replied evenly. The hallway went quiet. I felt it, the familiar gravity of him taking control of a situation without raising his voice. But this time, I stepped forward. It's fine, I said. Henry's gaze flicked to me. Sharp. It isn't, he said. I can handle it. I'm aware. His tone was controlled, but there was steel underneath. The guys shifted awkwardly, sensing they were no longer relevant. You can go, Henry said to them, not looking at them. They went. Silence settled. I exhaled slowly. I didn't need rescuing. You weren't being rescued. Then what was that? He stepped closer, not crowding, just present. Reputation management. I almost laughed. For you or me? For both. I studied him carefully. You don't have to step in every time someone talks. They weren't just talking. They were idiots. And idiots spread narratives, he said calmly. Narratives become assumptions. Assumptions affect opportunities. My chest tightened slightly. He noticed. You're working overtime, he continued. Your scholarship. It wasn't a question. I looked away. How do you know? You don't sleep during lectures anymore, he said. You shut down your notifications during class. And you've been avoiding anywhere that costs money. Of course he noticed. Administrative review? He asked quietly. I didn't answer. He didn't push. Instead, he said, "You should have told me." "And what would you have done?" His gaze held mine. "Helped." The word hit harder than it should. "I don't need help," I said automatically. His jaw tightened slightly. "Needing help doesn't make you unstable. It makes me dependent. And that terrifies you." Silence. Because he isn't wrong. "I can fix this," I say. "I just need time." "I never said you couldn't." "Then stop stepping in like I'm fragile." His expression shifts. Something darker, more intense. "I step in because I choose to," he says quietly. "Not because you're fragile." The air feels charged again. Different from jealousy. Sharper. "You think I can't handle rumors," I say. "I think you shouldn't have to handle them alone," he replies. "There's a difference. And I hate that I hear it." He steps slightly closer. "Let me ask you something," he says. "What?" "If you hadn't kissed me," he murmurs, "would they be talking?" I swallow. "No." "Then I'm responsible too." The words settle between us. He isn't claiming me. He isn't demanding. He's aligning himself beside me. And that's more dangerous than jealousy. "Why?" I ask quietly. "Why step in with me?" His eyes don't waver. "Because you stepped in with me first." The memory flashes. My fist in his collar. The silence of the courtyard. His stunned stillness. My pulse stutters. "That was reckless," I say. "Yes," he agrees. "And you still didn't push me away." He steps closer. This time I don't shove him back. "I don't walk away from things that matter," he says softly. The hallway feels too narrow, too intimate. "And I matter?" I ask before I can stop myself. His answer comes without hesitation. "Yes." No audience. No performance. Just certainty. And for the first time since losing my scholarship, my heart doesn't feel like a liability. Feels like a choice. And that terrifies me more than any rumor ever could. Chapter 10. He asks like he's proposing a merger. Calm. Direct. No wasted words. "Move in with me." We're standing outside the campus cafe after my shift. It's late. The streetlights throw long shadows across the pavement. My body is tired enough to fold in half, but his voice cuts straight through the exhaustion. I blink at him. "What?" "You're overworking," he continues evenly. "Your grades will slip again. Your scholarship review won't go well if that happens. My apartment is closer to campus. You'll save on rent. Time. Energy." He says it like logistics. Like this is practical. My pulse is anything but. "No." The word comes fast. Firm. He doesn't flinch. "Why?" "Because living with you would ruin me. Because I already think about you too much. Because proximity would melt every wall I rebuilt. Because I don't need charity," I say instead. His eyes darken slightly. "I'm not offering charity." It sounds like it. It's efficiency. I almost laugh. "You don't invite people to live with you for efficiency." "I do." "You don't." Silence stretches. Cars pass in the distance. Somewhere, someone is laughing too loudly. The world feels normal. Too normal for the way my chest tightens. "You can take the guest room," he says. "Separate spaces. Separate schedules. No obligation. No obligation. That's the dangerous part." "You think I can just live with you like it's nothing?" Ask. "I think you're disciplined enough to." That hits. Because he's right. Discipline is my armor. But he doesn't understand. Discipline cracks when it's tested daily. "I said no," I repeat. This time softer. Final. His jaw tightens. He steps closer. "You're drowning quietly," he says. "And you'd rather suffocate than let someone hold you up." "I'm not drowning." "You're exhausted." "That's temporary." "And pride isn't?" His words land clean. Precise. I take a step back. "If I move in with you, people will talk." "They already do." "It'll get worse." "Let it." Easy for him to say. He doesn't live on conditional funding. On academic scrutiny. On the edge of losing everything. "I won't gamble my stability," I say quietly. He studies me. Long. Intense. Then he says something that knocks the air out of my lungs. I'm not asking you because I pity you. Then why? A pause. Rare. I don't like the idea of you struggling somewhere I can't see. My heartbeat stumbles. That's not possessive. That's not strategic. That's personal. You don't get to monitor me, I say, even though my voice has lost its edge. I'm not monitoring, he replies. I'm choosing proximity. That word again. Choice. I don't want to depend on you, I whisper. You wouldn't. You'd pay more. You'd cover utilities. You'd adjust your life. I can afford adjustments. I can't afford owing you. There it is. The real fear. He goes quiet, not offended, thinking. Then he steps forward again, close enough that I feel his warmth in the cool night air. You wouldn't owe me, he says softly. You'd be there because I want you there. My throat tightens. That's worse, I breathe. His eyes flicker. Why? Because that means I matter. The silence after that is heavy. Honest. He reaches out, not to grab, just to brush his fingers lightly against my wrist. Electric. I don't pull away. You do, he says quietly. I force myself to step back. I can't, I say again. Not because I don't want to, because I want to too much. He doesn't argue this time. Doesn't retreat either. He just looks at me like the decision isn't over. Like no is a current state, not a final answer. And somehow, that's more dangerous than if he'd walked away. Chapter 11. I should have left first. That was the smart move. End the conversation. Walk away. Go back to my tiny apartment and my overtime schedule and the version of myself that survives by staying controlled. Instead, I hesitated. And Henry Vale does not waste hesitation. He closed the distance before I could step back. Not rushed, not uncertain. His hand came up to my jaw. Steady, warm, deliberate. And then his mouth was on mine. Not stunned like the first time. Not frozen. Decisive. He kissed like someone claiming ground. Slow at first, testing whether I would push him away. I didn't. My fingers tightened in his shirt without permission from my brain. The world blurred into night air and the faint hum of traffic. His hand slid to the back of my neck, holding, not forcing, but leaving no doubt about control. This wasn't a reckless kiss. It was measured, intentional. When he pulled back, our foreheads almost touched. My breath was uneven. His wasn't. You're my responsibility now, he said quietly. The words should have angered me. They didn't. Excuse me, I managed. You kissed me in front of everyone, he continued calmly. You stepped into my life publicly. You don't get to retreat privately. That's not how responsibility works. It is for me. His thumb brushed lightly against my pulse point, feeling how fast it was racing. You're not a problem to solve, I said. I know. Then don't talk like I am. His gaze softened, but only slightly. You're not a burden, he corrected. You're mine. My heart stumbled at that. Dangerous. Possessive. Certain. I didn't agree to that, I said, even though my voice had lost its edge. You will. Confidence. Not arrogance. You can't just decide I'm your boyfriend. I just did. That's insane. Is it? He stepped closer again. My back nearly brushed the cafe wall. You matter, he said quietly. You struggle alone. You pretend you don't want support. You push me away because you're afraid of depending on someone. That's not. It is. His eyes locked onto mine. And I don't walk away from what matters. Silence pressed in around us. If I stay with you, I said carefully, it's not because you claimed me. Then why? Because I choose to. A pause. Then, good, he murmured. His fingers tilted my chin up slightly. Choose me. The challenge sat heavy between us. Not force, not coercion, but gravity. You're overwhelming, I whispered. And you're stubborn. I almost laughed despite the tension. He leaned in again, but this time stopped just short of kissing me. If you stay with me, he said softly, you don't get to run when it gets difficult. And you don't get to control me. A beat. Agreed. It was too easy. Too quick. You say that now, I said. I don't make statements I don't intend to keep. The certainty in his voice made my chest tighten. Say it, he added quietly. Say what? That you're staying. My mind raced through tuition costs, gossip, independence, pride, then through something else. The way he steps in beside me, not in front. The way he watches for cracks I don't admit exist. The way he kisses like he's already decided I'm not temporary. My stability is numbers and schedules. But maybe stability can also be a person who refuses to let me collapse alone. I'll stay, I said, not surrender. Decision. His exhale was almost imperceptible. Then he kissed me again. Slower this time. Less claim. More promise. And when he finally pulled back, his voice was steady but softer than before. Don't make me regret choosing you, Jasper. My heart pounded hard enough to hurt. Because the terrifying truth is, I already chose him first. Chapter 12. I expected marble floors, glass walls, something cold and untouchable, like him. Instead, his apartment smells faintly of sandalwood and clean linen. Warm lighting, dark wood, a living room too neat to be accidental. The city stretches outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, but the space itself feels lived in, personal. Henry drops his keys onto the console table. The sound echoes louder than it should. He doesn't look at me immediately. Guest room is down the hall, he says, voice even. Bathroom to the left. Kitchen's fully stocked. He's listing features like a real estate agent. I close the door behind me slowly. You're nervous. He stills. I'm not. You are. His shoulders are slightly tighter than usual. His movements precise, too precise. This is his territory, his controlled environment, and I just stepped into it. You reorganized, I say, glancing at the bookshelf. There's space cleared. A pause. For you, he replies. The admission is quiet. I walk further inside, taking in the details. Framed certificates on one wall. Minimal decor. Everything intentional. No clutter. No chaos. Feels like him. But there's something else. A second toothbrush already sitting in a glass near the sink. I turn slowly. You bought that before I said yes. He doesn't deny it. I anticipated your answer. That's arrogant. It's prepared. I step closer to him. Now we're inside his space. Not campus. Not public corridors. Here the silence feels different. He runs a hand through his hair. A rare tell. You don't have to stay if you're uncomfortable, he says. There it is. The crack. You asked me to live here, I remind him. Yes. And now you look like you're reconsidering. I'm not reconsidering, he says quickly. Then slower. I'm adjusting. To what? To the reality of you being here. His honesty makes my chest tighten. You think I'll disrupt your order? Ask. Yes. The answer is immediate. Then softer. And I don't know if I mind. That catches me off guard. I step closer until there's barely a foot between us. You said I'm your responsibility, I murmur. His jaw tightens slightly. You are. I didn't agree to that wording. You agreed to staying. That's not ownership. I'm aware. His eyes meet mine, steady, but not dominant right now. Vulnerable. In his own controlled way. You're in my space, he says quietly. That's not something I offer lightly. And I'm in your life, I reply. That's not something I do lightly. Silence hums between us. He exhales slowly. You can take the guest room, he repeats. Or, he stops. Or, I press. His gaze flicks briefly toward the hallway. Then back to me. I won't assume. The implication hangs there. Shared space. Shared bed. Shared boundaries. He's nervous. Not about me breaking things. About me leaving. I step even closer, close enough to feel the warmth radiating off him. You're different here, I say softly. How? Less untouchable. His lips twitch faintly. This is the only place I don't perform. That confession feels heavier than the keys he dropped earlier. I reach out slowly, giving him time to pull away. He doesn't. My fingers curl lightly into the front of his shirt. I'm not here to ruin your balance, I say. You already did, he replies quietly. My heartbeat skips. And I let you. The air shifts. Not possessive. Not territorial. Something steadier. He lifts his hand, hesitates for half a second, then rests it at my waist. Gentle. Testing. You can leave any time, he says. I know. And I won't stop you. I study his face. You would. Faint pause. Yes. Honest. Dangerous. Human. For the first time since stepping inside, I don't feel like I'm entering his world. I feel like we're building something unstable together. And that terrifies him more than it does me. Chapter 13. They still call him untouchable. Even now. Even after the courtyard. Even after the rumors shifted from shock to certainty. Henry Vale. Cold. Controlled. Out of reach. I watch him across the dining table in his apartment, and I wonder if they've ever seen what I see. He's reading something on his tablet, sleeves rolled up, expression calm. Untouchable? I stand. Walk around the table slowly. He notices. Of course he does. His eyes lift, not startled, just aware. What are you doing? He asks evenly. I stop in front of him. Close. You, I say, have a reputation for being untouchable. A faint lift of his brow. And I don't think that's true. Silence stretches. He sets the tablet down carefully. Explain. I step closer until my knees brush his. You didn't push me away, I say. Not the first time. Not the second. That doesn't mean I'm not untouchable. It means you chose not to be. His gaze sharpens. I place my hand lightly on his shoulder. He doesn't move. You let me step into your space. I continue quietly. You cleared shelves. You bought a toothbrush before I agreed. His jaw tightens faintly. That was preparation. That was anticipation. His breathing shifts. Barely noticeable, but I'm close enough to hear it. I lean down slightly, just enough that our faces are level. They think you're the one in control, I murmur. And you disagree? I think you let me take charge. His eyes darken. That's a dangerous assumption. Is it wrong? He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, his hand slides to my wrist. Not forceful, but firm. Testing. You think you're leading? He asks softly. I reply, holding his gaze. You respond. A flicker. Not anger. Interest. You grabbed my collar first, he reminds me. You kissed me back harder. You moved into my apartment. You asked. The silence thickens. His thumb brushes slowly over my pulse point. You're confusing access with control, he says quietly. Am I? I lean closer, close enough that my breath brushes his lips. If you were truly untouchable, I whisper, you wouldn't be reacting right now. His grip tightens slightly. Not enough to hurt. Enough to answer. And if you were truly in charge, he murmurs, you wouldn't be checking my response before every move. That lands. Because he's right. Every step I take, I watch his reaction. Every word I measure. I swallow. You're not untouchable, I say again. No, he agrees softly. Then what are you? His other hand slides to my waist now. Steady, controlled, but undeniably possessive. Selective. My heartbeat stumbles. You're the only one I allow this close, he continues. That isn't dominance. That's choice. And choice is more powerful. I tilt my head slightly. So I'm not taking charge? A faint, almost invisible smile touches his mouth. You are, he says. My pulse jumps. But only because I'm letting you. The balance shifts again. Not overpowering. Not submission. A constant exchange. I rest my forehead lightly against his. Then maybe we're both wrong, I whisper. About what? About who's in control. His exhale is slow, measured, dangerous. Control, he murmurs, lips barely brushing mine, isn't the point anymore. And the way his hands tighten just slightly at my waist tells me he was never untouchable. He was just waiting for someone who wouldn't hesitate to reach. Chapter 14. Overtime becomes routine. Late shifts, early lectures, numbers blurring on spreadsheets, my body running on discipline and caffeine. Henry never tells me to stop. That's what unsettles me. He doesn't say, don't overdo it. He doesn't argue. He doesn't command. He adjusts. When I come home past midnight, the living room lamp is always on. Not bright, just enough to guide me. He pretends to be reading, but the moment I drop my bag, he stands. You're late, he says calmly. I told you I had closing shift. I know. And then his hands are on my shoulders. Firm, warm. He massages the tension out without asking permission. Thumbs pressing into knots I didn't admit existed. Slow, deliberate circles that make my spine loosen against my will. I try not to sigh. I fail. Relax, he murmurs. I am relaxed. You're vibrating. His mouth brushes the back of my neck. Barely there. My heart flips anyway. Morning is worse. Because he wakes before me. I open my eyes to the smell of coffee and something warm from the kitchen. He moves quietly, like he doesn't want to disturb me, but he always leaves the bedroom door slightly open. An invitation. Breakfast appears in front of me without commentary. You don't have to do this, I say. I know. Then he leans down and kisses me. Soft, unrushed, like it's habit, like it's inevitable. Sometimes, when I'm reviewing notes at the dining table, he'll walk past and kiss my temple without breaking stride, or press his mouth briefly to mine in the hallway, just enough to leave my pulse uneven. Random, unpredictable, strategic. You're doing this on purpose. I accuse one evening. Doing what? Making sure I'm not exhausted. He studies me over the rim of his glass. You said I wasn't in charge. I narrow my eyes slightly. And he steps closer. Slow. Measured. His fingers tilt my chin upward. Let me show you what happens, he says quietly. If I am. The air shifts. Not aggressive. Not forced. But certain. That night he doesn't rush. He doesn't overpower. He sets the pace. Guides instead of demands. His hands deliberate. His kisses slower, deeper, like he's mapping every reaction. Every breath I lose. Every moment my control slips. And the unsettling part? I let him. Because this isn't about dominance. It's about trust. When he presses me gently back against the mattress, there's no urgency. Only intention. You work too hard, he murmurs against my skin. You're distracting me. Good. His hand finds mine, lacing our fingers together as his mouth moves lower. Unhurried, attentive. He isn't claiming. He's proving. That taking charge doesn't mean taking away. It means holding steady when I finally stop bracing. Later, when the room is quiet except for our breathing, I stare at the ceiling, heart still racing. You're smug, I mutter. I'm correct, he replies softly. I turn my head toward him. You think you're in control? He brushes his thumb over my lower lip. I think, he says, voice low but calm, you like not having to be. And I hate that my pulse answers before I do. Because maybe he's right. Maybe being strong all the time is exhausting. And maybe letting him take charge sometimes isn't losing control. It's choosing where to rest. Chapter 15. The email comes at noon. Scholarship status. Reinstated. Administrative error resolved. Funding restored effective immediately. I read it 3 times. Then a 4th. My hands don't shake this time. They feel steady. Light. For the first time in months, my chest doesn't feel like it's carrying a deadline. I'm in the apartment when Henry walks in. He notices immediately. You're smiling, he says, setting his bag down. I hold up my phone silently. He reads the screen. His expression doesn't explode into excitement. He doesn't shout. He exhales. Slowly. Like something heavy just left his body too. Good, he says. Just that. But his hand comes to my waist, grounding. Certain. I got it back, I say, and I hate how emotional my voice sounds. I know you would. You didn't sound that confident 2 weeks ago. I was confident, he replies calmly. I was impatient. A small laugh escapes me. Relief does that, makes everything softer. I don't need overtime anymore, I add. His gaze sharpens slightly. Will you stop? Yes. A pause. Mostly. He gives me a look. I grin. This feels different. Not like surviving. Not like proving something. Just living. I walk toward the window looking out over the city. You know, I say slowly, if the hospital hadn't mixed up those reports. He comes to stand beside me. We wouldn't be here. No, I admit. I would have stayed quiet, responsible, safe, and bored, he adds. Probably. Silence settles, but it's comfortable now. I glance at him. You were untouchable. I wasn't, he corrects lightly. You were. I was selective. I smile. And I was reckless. You were honest. That catches me off guard. I lean back against the glass. It was a stupid report, I say. A stupid mistake. It changed your life. It complicated it. It expanded it. His hand slides into mine. Not possessive. Not proving. Just natural. I hated that hospital. I admit. I thought it ended everything. It started something, he says quietly. I look at him. Really look at him. He's still composed. Still sharp. Still carries that quiet gravity. But here, in this apartment, with me, he's not untouchable. And I'm not just surviving. I'm glad I kissed you, I say. He doesn't hesitate. So am I. No tension. No power struggle. Just certainty. The stupid reports almost broke me. Instead, they forced me to choose. And somehow, in the middle of panic and pride and exhaustion, I chose him. And this time, I'm not running out of time. I'm just beginning. If you like the like and share comment, your favorite moment. If you're not followed yet. Penality. Subscribe BL Without Labels channel and comment the genre you like.